What's good, guys? Raforex here, and in this video, we're going to be going over the only trading psychology video you ever need, right? And the whole point of this video is to help you get rid of the fears in trading through a systematic approach. I misspelled systematic. Fuck. But we move regardless, right? Let's just get into the video, and I hope you guys will get to understand the reasons why a lot of these fears are coming up, right? And I'll be using myself as a case study, right? Basically, I'll just be explaining to you my own experiences, what I've gone through, what I've experienced, right? Even in recent times, right? Even in recent times, the only thing that just makes me a little bit better is I'm quick to understand and to identify all of these fears, and I'm quick to build, to go back to my system, make adjustments if I have to, or just make adjustments within my own self, right? Because we're all human beings and we're all susceptible to what kind of word is that? Susceptible, right? I think that's the word, to emotions, right? So sometimes these emotions will come out, right? And you just need to look for what's triggering it. When these emotions, when these fears come up, you need to know what's triggering these fears or these emotions, right? And you need to once you understand it, then you can build a kind of system to get yourself out of that situation. So I'll just put it like that. So let's move on. So the 4 fears in trading, I've done a poll in my Telegram channel where I asked you guys, what are you most afraid of as a trader, right? So some people identified with the first one, second one, third one, or fourth one. So basically, let's go over them again. The fear of losing, the fear of being wrong, the fear of profit turning to loss, and the fear of missing out, right? FOMO, which is the biggest, right? So the fear of losing, the fear of being wrong, the fear of profit turning to loss, the fear of missing out, whatever fears you're having in trading, or whenever you get agitated or emotional or scared, it has to do with one of these or all of these, right? In most cases, these fears are intertwined, they're interrelated. So once you have the fear of losing, you obviously come up with the fear of being wrong because it relates. When you're scared of losing money on a trade, it means you're scared of being wrong. You're already outcome based. You're scared of the outcome being negative. This happens to a lot of people, including myself. It has happened to me. And let's just move on and I'll explain each of these fears step by step and give you ways you can get rid of them through understanding them. That's one thing you need to understand as well. So the fear of losing, basically this is, you don't want to see the account in red, or you don't want to see the trade in red. When you open up your MT4 after executing your trade and you see your trade in red. I've had some people DM me, right? Because I send out signals and I see some people to DM me and they'll be like, this trade is in drawdown, or this trade is in red. Should I close it? And I'm like, why do you want to close it? Did you DM me when the trade was blue? Or did you DM me during the times where there were blue trades, right? Were you scared when you were seeing blue on your screen, but you're scared when you're seeing red on the screen? Why are you scared when you're seeing red on the screen, right? It's psychological, right? You've had a traumatic experience. Maybe you've blown your accounts before, right? And now, or you've had a series of losses, and now whenever you see that red, it reminds you of losing, and you don't want to be in that position again because you know how you felt when you lost money, right? And the best way to overcome this is risk management, and that's the third one, but we'll come to that, right? So the first thing you need to know is that you will never be right all the time, and you need to accept it. And this goes for traders that have been doing this for a long time as well. Even after a winning streak, a huge winning streak. I had a moment where I had a 7 to 8 week winning streak, right? And when I started losing, it was hard for me to accept it at the first time, because I then started to look at my strategy and look at my system and I'm not meant to lose, right? I'm not meant to lose. I was trying to justify what mistake I've made. I was trying to look for the mistakes I've made. And in the process of thinking that I've made mistakes, I started making mistakes because I started to fix problems that were not there. It just happens. It just happens that you will be wrong and you need to accept it. So once you calm down and you get out of that state and you accept the fact that, yes, you're meant to lose, then you can really start to work your way up, right? You can really start to work your way up into becoming more confident with your trades and holding your trades and executing your trades, right? So a loss is part of the system. You need to appreciate it. Every system is going to lose you money, no matter what. It just depends on how much you let it take from you, how much you let the market take from you. That is totally in your control. How much you take from the market and how much you let the market take from you is totally in your control. Once you can control those two factors, you'll be in a better place, right? But expecting that the market is not going to take money from you is being wrong. You're already wrong. But controlling how much it takes from you is totally in your hands, right? Risk management is your friend. Now, when I talk about risk management, risk is personal to you and whatever situation you have, right? So the best way to manage risk is to look at, first of all, you need to identify what kind of goals you have with your trading, right? You need to look at what kind of capital is available to you at that moment in time. You need to weigh all of these things and you need to say, okay, am I doing this for the long term or am I just here to gamble and have fun with my money? If you're here to gamble with your money and say your approach is, let's see what happens, then by all means, you can do the 10%, you can do the 20%, right? Because at this point, you're playing with money and you're aware that you're playing with your money. But if you think you're going to be consistently profitable over a long period of time by basically gambling your money and playing with your money, you're wrong. Because when those losses come and you start losing that money, you're not going to be able to like refund it. And you're not going to see it as a joke. You're not going to take it lightly with yourself. You're going to be angry at yourself. Why? You didn't come with the mindset of this is play money. So I know that I've been this type of person where, like, initially when the Telegram channel started, where I was doing a lot of flipping, I was doing a lot of heavy trades, right? I was basically playing with my money. And that's what a lot of people didn't understand. A lot of people thought it was going to be like that, it was going to be like that. There's going to be a point where I'm going to have enough liquid cash where I want to play with money again. And all of you need to understand that there's play money and there's real accounts. I don't have just one trading account. I have different accounts that I do that I trade differently, right? There are accounts that I can blow in a week, and there are accounts that even when I'm in a losing streak, I don't blow those accounts. No matter what, I don't blow those accounts, right? So those accounts, I can be in drawdown on those accounts for a month, 2 months, and then once I'm in a winning streak again, I'll bring those accounts back into profit, and I'll be growing those accounts consistently where I have drawdowns, profits, drawdown, profit, drawdown, profit, and it's going to move consistently over a long period of time. The accounts that I'm just going to put a random amount, try to flip it on a good setup. Obviously, I'm not just trying to trade anyhow setups, but regardless, I might lose the account, right? And I'll be comfortable with like moving on, right? So you need to understand the type of risk you're applying to each type of account, right? And you need to know when you're gambling, and when you're gambling, you need to know you're doing it for fun. That's not how you're meant to be trading, right? You're meant to have proper risk management in place if you want to grow your account over time. Risk management, trade selection. Trade selection is also very important because a lot of people have itchy fingers. Even me sometimes, like if I look at the charts too long, I can start to see like a lot of setups. There's certain times where I'll take a trade and I'll look at the trade again. I'll say, okay, this trade doesn't align with my setup or with my strategy or with my entries or whatever, and I'll just cut the trade. It might be in a little bit of loss, but I'll cut the trade regardless. And even if it starts going in direction which I predicted in the first place, I don't care basically because it's not according to like my strategy. So I'm not even confident holding that trade. And I would be more mad at myself if I lost money on that trade. And if I made money on that trade, it would be more of luck than strategy, right? So risk management is your friend. Let's go to the next one. The next one is the fear of being wrong, right? So one thing you need to know is that this is not a test or an exam. Nobody's scoring you. Nobody's marking your script. Nobody cares. Why should you, right? Why should you care when nobody else cares? Nobody cares if you win the trade or if you lose the trade, right? Nobody cares except they're taking the trade with you, right? So if you're calling the trade to someone, they might care if the trade is wrong, but they don't understand what you understand, right? Which is you can't win all the time. You can't expect to be right all the time. Expecting to be right all the time is delusional. You're deluding yourself. You're playing tricks on yourself. Your mind is playing tricks on you, right? So if you're scared of being wrong, you need to identify that, okay, this is coming from somewhere. This is coming from somewhere. As a trader, you're trading statistics and you're taking your best guess, your best educated guess. Even if you look at the fundamentals, even if you look at the technicals, no matter what you look at, no matter what your approach is, if your approach follows your system, you've done all the work you're meant to do. And that's the best work you can do. And if you say, okay, buy, then you've taken your best guess, right? You've taken your best guess based on the certain things you've done. You've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. So this is the best point of action. This is the best course of action to do, is to buy or is to sell. When you do that, you can't be worried about the outcome, because the system will take care of the outcome. If you apply the same system over and over and over and over and over and over again, then you're meant to be profitable, or your approach is meant to be consistent. And that's one thing with trading. Trading is more about consistency. So the more your system or your approach is consistent, the more your results will be consistent, right? So this is not a test or an exam, and nobody cares, and you shouldn't care either, right? It's something that is very, very difficult to say, or something that is very, very difficult to do, but it's like the actual truth of the whole matter. Nobody cares. You don't even care, because after a long period of time, after a period of time, you're going to forget about it and you're going to move on. One thing that is good is you should like journal your trades, so you can see like your success rate. You need to know your success rate. You need to have some form of accountability, even if it's with like a person or with like a group. You need to be accountable for the trades you're taking. You can't just take trades left and right, left and right, left and right, hop in here, hop out, hop in, hop out. No, when you're scared of being wrong, you're not going to be able to like stick to one trade. Even when you have trades that are going to win, you're not going to be able to hold them, because the normal thing people do is they'll hold on to their losses too long and they'll be cutting their profits too early. So me, even when I'm going through a losing streak, right? Let's say I take an account from like 10K to like 9,004, and I've done this recently, right? I've done this twice actually. Took an account from like 9,000, from 10,000 to like 9,004. So now I'm like 6,000, so $600 drawdown, or 6% drawdown, whatever. And I'm on a losing streak. This loss is not from one trade, right? This loss is from a series of trades, up and down, win, lose, but more losses than wins, right? Losing streak, very good. And I was in this losing streak because I was not trading systematically, right? So I took a step back. I said, okay, look at where we've gotten to now at this point. Look at the system we're meant to be following. Let's use a more systematic approach, right? Forget about all the losses and just take it easy, take it step by step. You know that you're going to have a trade and 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 many more trades, right? So let's just take this systematically. Taking it systematically brought the account back to break even, right? Just trade it systematically. Good trade selections, got rid of all the fears. I don't care if I lose. I don't care about being wrong. Let's manage risk. I was able to bring the trade back to break even. Doing that, bring the account back to break even. You do that consistently, you still bring the account back into profit, right? And the whole point is like, it's not going to be like a smooth ride. You don't know when your winning streak is going to come. You don't know when your losing streak is going to come, right? So if you're being consistent in your approach, then the results will still be consistent. Even when you lose, you don't lose too much. Even when you win, like you outdo the losses, right? You'll be able to hold your winning trades longer. And that's one thing. One winning trade can take care of like 3 to 4 losing trades. Another thing about me is like, I can cut my losses early, right? And it comes from like experience. I can tell when a trade is going to actually go hit the stop loss. Not by looking at my MT4, but by looking at my charts. When I look at my charts and I see certain levels being broken, I'm like, okay, the trade is actually going to hit our stop loss, right? And I'll be like, okay, I'm going to cut my trade here. I'm going to wait for the next trade, right? So it comes from like experience, and I'm not looking at the profit and loss. I'm actually looking at the charts. I'm looking at price action. I'm following price action actually. So when I do get that winning trade, I'll write it out. All right. I'm not excited that it's going to like is in profit. No. In fact, I want to hold it. Sometimes I want to hold my trades longer. After even going into the point where I want to hold trades longer, and wanting to hold trades longer sometimes makes my trade come back against me, stop me out, right? Even when I'm like profit for like 2-3 days, I'll still be holding the trades. They'll come back to stop me out. So I'm not in a haste to close my winning trades. I'm not in a haste to close my winning trades, actually. I want to hold my winning trades longer, and I want to be cutting my losses earlier, right? So if I see a trade that doesn't follow my system or my strategy, I'm quick to get out of that trade, even if it means getting out in a loss, because I know that when I do get a trade that is according to my system and according to my strategy, I'm actually going to hold that trade longer. The fear of profit turning to into loss, right? So you don't want to see a trade that you've taken go up by 100 pips and then come back and stop you out. I've had a trade like that. We did a trade like 2 weeks ago on gold. Gold went 100 pips in profit. Like I said, I was watching my trade for like 2 days, 100 pips in profit. It started to reverse, came against me, stopped me out for a loss. And that's when I actually like started spiraling out of control because I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? Where's the mistake I made? Where's the mistake I made? And in the point of looking for a mistake, I started making mistakes because I thought I did something wrong when actually I didn't do anything wrong. It's just the market. The market had other zones and other levels to go into. Even though I'd seen these levels and I identified these levels, there was still that doubt or that fear in my mind where I wasn't sure if that's what the market actually wanted to do. And my mind started playing tricks on me. I would buy, not be sure of the buy, I would sell them. So I had to take a step back, observe the market, right? And it did what I expected it to do, but I was able to capitalize on it, right? But I didn't jump in when I saw the trade start going. I just stayed out, moved on, took the lesson, applied it to other trades, made my money back, right? So that's basically how it is. You need to apply proper trade management. Now, if you're applying proper trade management, right, when a trade goes into profit, you're ideally not meant to like just move your stops to break even. And this is like if you know what you're doing, like if you're generating your own trade ideas by yourself, you're actually managing the trade according to market structure. So if you're buying a bullish market, right, you know it's going to be doing higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? So if price is breaking to the upside, you're looking for the most recent lows, right? You're following price action. So you're looking at which low is more secure to put this stop loss, or is where are we going to like move our stops to, right? Where even if price is going to make a pullback, right, it's not meant to go below this level. And when it goes below this level, then my bias has changed from bullish to bearish. That's really how you're meant to manage the trade. You're not meant to just jump into break even and say, okay, now it's risk free. Risk free from what? You enter this trade placing risk. Every trade you take is a risk. So when you put your stops at break even, right, instead of putting it at the low where it's meant to be or the high where it's meant to be, price can definitely come back to break even, stop you out and still go in the direction it's meant to go into, right? It can still stop you out at break even. For all you know, your entry is not perfect. So when you're trying to secure that entry, rather than manage your trade properly according to like price structure or market structure, you're doing yourself a disservice. All these hands are occurring everywhere. What the fuck? But like you're doing yourself a disservice by managing the trade based on you don't want to lose money, right? You're meant to risk that money and you're meant to give the trades like a good amount of space to operate, right? So you need to focus on the trade idea and not the profit and loss, right? So if you're looking at your MT4 and you're saying, okay, this trade is up $300, let me put my stops in break even so that it doesn't turn on me, right? You're putting your stops in break even to protect what? The $300. But if price moves into your entry, stops you out for break even, now you have $0, and then it goes back into profit and goes to your target, right? So what you're meant to do is you're meant to look for if price comes below this level, then it's no longer bearish. Even if that's not your break even point, you've still managed to manage risk. So if you were risking $200 or $100 before, now you're risking 40 for the same target, right? But it's not break even. But you know that once price breaks below this level or breaks above this level, then it's no longer going in my favor, right? It's no longer going to go in my favor, right? So that's how you should approach your trade management, right? And that is the best way to get rid of this fear of your profit turning to loss. If the trade is not yet at a point where you can manage according to market structure, you shouldn't move your stops. Just let it be until the market develops. Give the market more time to develop, more time to move, and then it will provide you with a sensible area to manage your trades at or to move your stops into, right? And this comes from knowing what you're doing, right? Knowing what you're doing, generating your own trade ideas. The next one is the fear of missing out, which is FOMO, right? So in this case, you just care too much about the outcome, right? And that's why, like, You're scared of missing out, right? At some point, you might be scared of like taking a trade. You're scared of executing the trade, and then you see the trade moving in your direction that you predicted. And now you're like, let me get this entry here. After the trade has moved like 50 pips away from your original entry, you want to get in. You get in at that point, the market starts going opposite. Now you're scared of losing the money. You close out, you lose, the trade still goes in your direction. You're angry at yourself. You see the next trade, you're scared of entering the trade. It moves 40 pips, 100 pips. You enter at that point, it does the same thing to you, you lose, and you go into that cycle of not really knowing what you're doing, right? And at this point, it's because you care about the outcome too much. Whether you care about losing, most times comes from like you don't want to be wrong, you don't want to lose money. What the fuck is wrong with this hand? But at this point, you're scared of losing money, right? You don't want to be wrong, and you can't execute. And then when the trade starts going in your direction, you want to get in, right? And it's very, very funny because if you stay out of a trade and it starts going towards your stop loss, what your brain starts to tell you is it tells you like, oh, you made a good decision. Thank God you didn't take this trade, you know. If not, you'd have lost money. Why do you think that way? But then when you see the trade going in the direction you anticipated, you don't tell yourself, okay, it's a good thing I stayed out of this trade. You try to convince yourself that you've done something wrong, right? So nobody's after you. Sometimes you think that this is happening because like the market knows what you're meant to do, what you're trying to do. That when you enter here, immediately you enter it, immediately you buy, the market will start selling. You haven't even held your trade. You haven't even held the trade. You just put on the trade and it's just been literally 5 minutes. But you already think that the market is selling. No, the market is retracing because it has pushed up 50 pips from where you'd have entered. Now it has to make a retracement and then continue in the direction, right? Whenever you take a trade with a bad entry, you should expect drawdown. Don't just expect the market to keep pushing in your direction, right? Nobody's after you. It's just common sense. It's just common sense. Obviously, when you enter at an extended level, the market is going to pull back. When the market pulls back, it's going to continue in that expected direction, right? You only have a bad entry. You didn't take a bad trade. So even when you have this FOMO and you enter a trade late, right, you should be expecting drawdown. A lot of people can't even handle drawdown. They already see drawdown as loss. And it comes from that fear of losing or that fear of being wrong. Once you see that red on your MT4, you're like, okay, this will go and hit my stop loss. You're already having all those thoughts, all those bad thoughts, right? Yes, it could go and hit your stop loss if the trade is wrong. It has nothing to do with you, right? So even if you're entering at an extended level, you can still calculate the risk and say, okay, I don't need to go in with this is the amount of stop loss. This is a stop loss. If it was a 50 pip stop loss, now it's a 100 pip stop loss. You adjust your risk accordingly. And that's how you just get rid of that fear, right? So in this case, you're after yourself because you're the one doing it to yourself. You're the one making all the decisions. You're the one that chose not to enter at this level and chose to enter at this level, right? It was you that made the decision. So whenever you think like, oh, the market knows what I'm doing, no, you are the one doing it to yourself, right? You're the one that is not thinking logically. You're not thinking logically. You're not thinking rationally. You're using your emotions and all of that. So you're blinded by your emotions. And when you're blinded by your emotions, you stop making rational and logical decisions, right? So that's basically what happens when you have this FOMO. So you need to trust your work. And the biggest cause of all these fears is just the lack of like putting in the work and lack of like taking it serious. You're not taking it seriously enough. And the lack of this work equals zero confrontation. The only way to confront these fears is by doing the work. So let's say you're an athlete, right? And you want to be like Michael Jordan. Let's say you're a basketball player, you want to be like Michael Jordan, right? And every time you come to the free throw line, you're scared. Or every time you get the ball at the 3-point line, you're scared to shoot, right? So you pass the ball. Every time you want to shoot, you pass the ball because you're scared of missing the shot, right? You're scared of missing the shot. You're scared of missing the free throw. The only way you can get better at taking free throws or even getting rid of the fear is by taking more free throws in practice or taking more 3-point shots in practice or taking more jump shots in practice. So you need to do 1,000 more free throws, 1,000 more jump shots, 1,000 more 3 points, right? And then when you get into the game, it becomes muscle memory. You know how to shoot from the 3-point line. You know how to shoot from the free throw line. You know how to shoot a jump shot, right? The same thing with trading. if you don't have a systematic approach to your execution, remember, it's all about execution. Trading is all about execution. It's all about having a systematic approach to how you take a trade. So if you don't have a systematic approach to how you take a trade, there's no muscle memory, right? So when you're looking at the charts, there's no A, B, C, D, then execute, right? You're just executing because you feel like the market could go up from here or the market will go down from there. You're meant to have a full system or a full strategy that helps you take a trade so that whenever you recognize A, B, C, D, then you know that you're meant to execute, right? So once you don't have A, B, C, D, and you're executing, you don't have a system. So there are only two reasons you can be scared or all these fears are coming up. Is either you don't have a system or you don't trust the system that you have in place, right? So if you don't have a system, what do you have to do? You need to go and build a system. How do you build a system? You need someone who knows how a system works or someone who has a system that you can replicate. Now, a lot of people don't like getting mentors. That's fine. You need to either get a mentor or you need to spend a lot of years learning for yourself, right? If you don't have a lot of years to give, you need to go and find someone to teach you so you can replicate their system. And even if you don't end up using their system, it has given you a basis of what a system, of what a systematic approach looks like, right? Now you know the A, B, C, D of how someone takes a trade. Now you can go and practice, and then make your own adjustments. Basically, because all human beings are different. So you're going to have your own ideas. You're going to have what you want to remove and what you want to add, right? So that's basically how to build a system. The second part is simply by, if you have a system and you don't trust it enough, you need to work on it, right? So you need to improve it. You need to keep improving it. So it comes from, oh, I've been doing this, but it doesn't seem to work. What can I change? What can I improve? Or even if it's working, you're like, it could be better, right? So you're looking for ways to make it better. So that comes from improving the system that you have. And you'll be able to improve the system you have. Or, if you don't have a system, go and build a system. A lot of people just trade. They don't know why. They can't really tell you why they're in that trade. They'll just give you a few examples. Oh, I took this trade because this is this. Then they take another trade and they tell you why they took that trade, but it doesn't match with the other trades. So they have different reasons for taking different trades instead of having the same reasons for taking all their trades. If you have the same reasons or similar reasons for taking all of your trades, then you have a systematic approach to trading. If you don't have similar reasons for taking all your trades, you do not have a systematic approach to trading. So you should go and look at that. So confronting these fears is by doing the work, right? Either building a system or by improving the system that you're currently trading. The less work you do, the more doubts you have. Basically, if you don't have a system or if you're not working on the system, you're going to have doubts about your trade, and doubts equals fear, right? That's simply it. And this also applies in your life as well. I just give an example of if you want to be like a basketball player like Steph Curry or Michael Jordan or LeBron, whatever. If you're not in the gym, doing the work, and you're just at home playing 2K, right? You can't learn how to play basketball from playing 2K. You can learn how the game works, you can learn the rules, but you can't actually play, right? You can't play because you're not taking the shots, you're not building the muscle memory. You just know what a shot looks like, you know what a free throw looks like, you know what a jump shot looks like, but you can't actually do it. You're always shooting air balls, right? You have to stop shooting air balls. You need to get in the gym and start working on your shots. So that's the same thing here. You need to go build a system. It's either you get a coach. Basketballers have coaches, right? They're not just training by themselves. Yes, they can train by themselves, right? But they're not as good as those that have coaches, right? And this is why a lot of people, when they say, go and get a mentor, go and learn from someone, it's like, oh, I don't want to pay this. Well, you're still going to use your time to pay for all of that. Everything you could learn in a year or in 6 months, you're going to end up learning in 5 years or 6 years. So you need to do yourself a favor, find someone, if it's a community, if it's just one person, however you want to do it, attach yourself to someone or a group of people and learn how they do their own and then take ideas from that and build your own as well. So it's very, very simple. I'll end this video here. If you found value in everything I said, you can like the video, leave a comment if you want to ask a question or make a suggestion or whatever. Also share the video to whoever you feel like is going through all of these fears, right? So that it can help them or guide them on what they need to do and how they need to look at their trading. So like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel as well for more, turn on post notifications, all of those things, right? I'll see you guys in another video.